So here, when this ignorance is corrected through understanding the Four Noble Truths, these mental activities, these volitional activities, this will has no more power over you. With the ending of volitional activities, consciousness ends. No more, in other words, no more spark in there. All those other aspects don't work anymore. No, they don't trouble you. We are not dead. In fact, you are truly happy. You are no more prisoners of these activities. With the ending of consciousness, name and form ends. So you're no more worried about what's this thing called, what's this for, whatever. That the sort of idea doesn't trouble you. With the ending of name and form, the six senses end. The senses don't trouble you anymore. With the ending of the six senses, contact ends. No senses, no sense contact. No pain, no suffering. With the ending of contact, feeling ends. Feeling as we understand it, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. That feeling ends. But nirvana is happy. But the very fact these three feelings are not there. It's a higher kind of joy, a refined kind of joy. It's like, to simplify, I can give you an analogy on joy of your work is totally done. Nothing more to do, you sit back, just relax. You feel so good and happy. Everything is done, no need to work anymore. Everything taken care of already. Wonderful feeling for that moment. Only the problem is reality is after that start thinking, I got nothing to do now, I'm really bored. You have another problem. Okay? But not nirvana, no. You're so happy and joyful, whatever it is, you are joyful. With the end of feeling, craving ends. So because you are totally satisfied, no more looking outside, comparing. With the ending of craving, clinging ends. There's no more holding on to anything. With the ending of clinging, existence ends. With the ending of existence, birth ends. With the ending of birth, there end decay and death, sorrow, lamentation, physical pain, mental pain, and despair. Such is the ending of this whole mass of suffering. This is the theory. It's difficult to reflect on this. Of course, for most of us, it's quite difficult to reflect on all the 12 names except theoretically. But take it here and there. You find, especially the part about feeling, contact, feelings, very easy to understand. And so just take whatever link you can connect, reflect on it. And from there, you build up your understanding. A bit here, a bit there, and then it starts building up. Oh, one thing we have is time. That's the great thing about impermanence. As you go on reflecting time, over time, you become wiser. Then the sutta closes with verse 11. Seeing thus which shoes, the instructed noble disciple is revulsed towards form. In other words, he knows, oh, this really, I know what form is, so I'm not going to have anything to do with it. He is revulsed towards feeling too. He is revulsed towards perception too. He is revulsed towards formations too. He is revulsed towards consciousness too. So, revulsion means see things as they really are, and not cheated by it. It's just like when you first, these computers are just coming to these shops and houses, and you're so excited, wow. Or TVs even, I remember when I was a kid, we used to have black and white TV. We were so excited watching all the shows. And then after that, color TV. Nobody wants to watch black and white anymore. And now we have flat screen TV. And now you can watch shows on the computer, a huge big screen and so on. So this is where you see a black and white TV, you have no feeling for it. It's a small example of revulsion. So here, when we understand clearly the nature of these 12 things, the nature of the 5 aggregates, we simply stand aside, let them go. Feeling revulsed, it becomes dispassionate. It becomes dispassionate, right? So the idea is not we don't hate any of these things. We know its true nature and we keep a safe distance. So because we are revulsed, we feel dispassionate. This external object has no control over us anymore. We're not going to rush there for something, line up and fight for something. Through dispassion, his mind is liberated. The mind is free. does not think and think about it anymore. When it is liberated, there arises a knowledge liberated. You know it. He understands this joy, this birth. The holy life has been lived. What needs to be done has been done. There is no more of this state of being. No more suffering. So, sutta ends there. Yeah? Any question on this sutta? So this is quite short, sweet, and quite direct. Remember, this is all meant to be reflected on. The sutta is not telling you how to live your life. You know how to do that. No matter what instructions all the world's religions give us, people still have their own way of doing things. And we change the religions, we adapt, adjust. So many kinds of religions today. In fact, there's so many religions today, you can hardly see the original teachings, the simple teachings. So here we try to go back to the simple original teachings. And some people even try to blame you. They say, oh, you're a fundamentalist, fanatic, because you have to study the simple early teachings, We're not saying that all the new religions are bad, although some of them can be. All that we are saying is there are too many changes, adaptations, and going away from the simple truths and simple joys. So we just want something that really works, not something that works for other people. So you end up becoming a member of a group and that's all. Nothing's happening to you, you're not changing, you're not happy, you do not know how to relate to others happily too. Now the second Assutava Sutta 2 or Tritiya Assutava Sutta. S12.62. They're all the same. The first part is the same up to section 7. And then section 8 onwards. Section 8 also actually is the same. You have the formula. Section 9 onwards actually is different. So here I say up to section 7. Actually it should be section 8. Oh, there is no simile of the monkey, by the way. There's no simile of the monkey here. And then the closing part, the Buddha uses contact, feeling. So I just read section 9 onwards. Which is dependent on pleasant contact, a pleasant feeling arises. With the ending of the pleasant contact, the pleasant feeling that arose dependent on that pleasant contact ceases, is stilled. Okay, so here what's interesting is you study these two suttas together, you see a very interesting relationship between the truths. In the first sutta you have 12 links, right? In the second sutta the Buddha only takes one of the links. So what the Buddha is telling us is that you can reflect on one of the links, starting with contact, right? Contact meaning sense impression, how we experience the world. So when we see something nice, how do you define nice? Your own definition, okay? Then pleasant feeling arises. For example, like for me, if I see nice big computer or what, I probably won't feel very much attracted to it. But if I see this computer says, oh, Tripitaka is in it, oh, that's interesting. That's an interest I have. Yeah? So each of us have different definition of what we call how we like things, how we define something as pleasant or unpleasant. Right? But once the pleasant contact is gone, I mean, that means the person say, okay, you can have it, so you have it already, you don't think about it anymore. Or you never seen it. If someone tells you, oh, it's just a picture, it's not real, then you adjust and say, okay, there's nothing interesting there, so you let go of that idea. So when the contact ends or you close your eyes, you don't think about it, feeling is gone. Make sure it's dependent on painful contact. A painful feeling arises. You see something you don't like, pain. With the ending of painful contact, the painful feeling that arose independent on that painful contact ceases, is still. So here you see conditionality working. Which is dependent on neutral contact, a neutral feeling arises. With the ending of the neutral contact, the neutral feeling that arose independent on the neutral contact ceases, is still. Notice there's nothing mentioned in neutral feeling. Neutral feeling is the most difficult of the three. You generally won't know it. Only in retrospect, only during the review period, you look back and say, oh, I didn't feel pleasant, unpleasant feeling, therefore it's unpleasant. Of course, sometimes while you're meditating, you might be aware of it. You know, that you might feel that your mind is just calm, empty, and at that time it's just still. So you know that's neutral feeling. But once you are conscious, you reflect on it as impermanent. Then the Buddha goes on to the parable of the fire sticks, which shows just as heat is generated and fire is produced from the meeting and friction of two sticks. But when the two sticks are separated and put aside, the heat ceases, dies down. Even so, the three feelings arise and pass away that way. So the Buddha says like two sticks, you rub them together and heat is produced. So contact, object. When they come together, then craving does all the rest. So one implication of this teaching is avoid sense objects that will lead to some kind of negative response. You must identify what are those negative sources of unhappiness, keep away from them. Or you need to be stronger, have some kind of wisdom in your mind, then you know how to respond to those external stimuli or contact as it is used here. So here the sutta ends in the same way, the ending is the same. The Buddha says, seeing that which shows the instructed noble disciple is revolves towards contact. So here notice contact is used instead of form. Form is taken as contact, as something you experience. Because form can also come in the way of sound, for example. So here is where, when you understand in this way, you let go of feelings, whether it's pleasant, neutral, pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, you're experiencing revulsion. Because why? You let go of them. It revolves towards that sense contact. You are not troubled by it anymore. You say it's just sense contact. It's just, I'm seeing this thing, so I'm all excited about it. I'm seeing this thing, so I'm all upset about it. I'm seeing this thing, I'm all bored about it. It's just sense contact. I'm letting go of it. In colloquial language, that's how we explain it. It revolves towards feeling too. So one thing, when you understand one, you relate to the other. It revolves towards perception too. It revolves towards formations too. Formation is how our karma, how we create karma through reacting to these things in a negative way. It revolves towards consciousness too. Feeling revolves, he becomes dispassionate. Through dispassion, his mind is liberated. When it is liberated, there arises the knowledge liberated. I'm free. Free from suffering. There's a very funny story in the Theragata, especially Theragata, is I think two women. They managed to run away from their husbands. They were really ugly and bad and beat them up and so on. So they became nuns. They're so happy. They said, oh, finally we got rid of that horrible, ugly man. They're so happy. So the sense of revulsion towards their family life. So it's a very funny story about these nuns. So they said, I'm free, liberated. He understands. Destroy this birth, the holy life has been lived. When what needs to be done has been done. There is no more of this state of being. If you're not enlightened, it's different. For example, right now I told myself, okay, what do I do if I finish translating all the suttas, nothing more to do? will life be boring for me? I told myself, not at all, because there's so much sutta. I mean, there's so much things to teach, right? So, of course, in this case, we would say it's a purposeful life. But remember, there is a danger in purposeful life, Some people, they think it's a big deal, Purpose-driven life, Seems to be big. What kind of purpose? Who defines the purpose? You have to think about it very carefully. There's a lot of nice talk nowadays in religion. Religion is mostly marketing today. So we have to be very careful. What are we really heading for? Sometimes we have no purpose at all. Then it should be fine. No purpose means what? You are awakened already. That's the highest level. Nothing more to do. You're just happy just the way you are. Happy sitting here like that. And of course, you can do anything you want. People come to you and talk to you, you respond. You have wisdom. You're not just a stone or a stupid guy sitting here not doing anything. You're not saying an idiot is the wise guy. Not at all. Your heart is the person. He's just happy the way he is, the way he is. Or you go to him, you ask for help, he will help you, he will help you in a wise way, proper way. He's contented. No purpose in life anymore. So there are situations where we have no purpose and we're just happy, that's fine. Especially when you go traveling on a holiday. You reach a place, it's such a nice place, you're in this garden or somewhere beautiful, you just want to be there. There's no special purpose, so to speak. However, you may have a plan, and you're going here, going there, and once you're there, you just enjoy. Sometimes life can be purpose-free. Maybe we say purpose-free better, we say purposeless. It gives a bit of scare down our spine, so to speak. So the idea is that we are just happy like that. Like that. Actually, when I say like that, it's a contradiction in Buddhist philosophy. Because the word that is one word that the Buddha used to represent the world out there. And more often in Buddhism we will say, don't be like that. This is very deep saying in Buddhism, we say, don't be like that. Don't be like that means don't be like something outside of you. See what's inside you. There's no more thatness. Thatness means you objectify something outside you. That. Yeah? So once you let go of the idea of that, you no more see yourself as this, the outside as that. And it's called atam. Right? Normally the one who sees this and that, they want to own this thing. So it's called tamaya. Tamaya means to own something outside of you. Once you don't see things as this and that, you and other, then there's atamaya. The noun is atamayata. It's one of those really profound ancient words in Buddhism, and I've written a whole essay on this, which you can read on. Buddhadasa also spoken a lot about this in the past. So this is where we're just happy the way we are. No more this, no more that. The sutta ends here. Okay. Any questions? So here again we're enjoying the impermanence of our Wednesdays, and enjoying the suttas.
Mr. Piya,
yes?
Depending arising is 12
links.
Yeah, 12 link. On its own is actually not negative or not something bad. Like even decay and death. One is the journey, one is the end point.
Yeah.
On itself is actually not negative, not bad.
Well, there are two parts. One is called dependent arising, how a situation arises. Then the other half is how it ends. Okay, so what's your question?
Yeah, so on its own is actually, I see that it's not really that all negative. It's only when we try to link decay and death, and then we follow up with sorrow, lamentation, physical pain, mental pain, and despair. It's only when we follow up with this, then it becomes a mess of suffering.
Right.
But having said that, decay and death, I mean, part of the journey, we also could have happiness, wisdom, or whatever follow with life. It may not be just mess or suffering.
Exactly, but we cannot take it for granted.
Yes.
Well, I mean, it may just happen. So we think. Some people are just happy because they're born into very wonderful environment.
Yes.
Maybe a rich family, happy family. Maybe they will be poor but they're happy. But then again, all this don't last very long. Certain moments only, you see them like that, but then suddenly this big thing happens. It just happens suddenly.
You end at death, so same goes for sorrow or physical pain, you will just
well,
end
when
at
you say it ends at death, it's a cycle. It goes on and on.
So what I'm trying to say is, we always say that the God believer are very focused on sin, right? But then we ourselves are focusing so much on suffering. Then it may not be that the positive either, right?
Well, okay, let's look at these two ideas, sin and suffering.
Yeah.
Sin, you must have a God idea. Because no God, no sin. Because sin is where you disobey God, so to speak. Again, the big problem here, who defines God, how disobey what,
Correct.
what are the punishment, and this one, 1,000 people, 1,000 groups will define in 1,000 ways. So it's a very troubling, very difficult situation. Now, the problem here, I think, is the word suffering. A lot of people don't like it, and that proves the fact nobody likes suffering. So, but if you go back to the original word dukkha in Pali, it helps us to see it more clearly without this language or cultural baggage, if you like. Dukkha, unsatisfactoriness. There is something incomplete in us, something still missing, something we still need to do. So this is a big way of saying it. So instead of saying so many things, we just use one word. Suffering seems to be the easiest colloquial term people understand. And nobody likes it because we only think in terms of pain. Actually, it's not just pain. It's not ending in pain. You've got bodily pain, mental pain. So we often think in terms of mental pain, so physical pain. We don't like it. We say, oh, I don't like this one. There is mental pain. But sometimes this mental pain can be very subtle. A sense of dissatisfaction. It's just like this. First of all, we don't get something. We can't get something, Let's say, oh, we are very poor. I'm very poor, and I want millions of dollars. And suddenly I got this lottery, $300 million, You might get this in the US. And so I got this, and then I tell myself, so what? I've got everything, and I can buy all that I want, do what I want, and yet I find something is missing. And worse than that, because I got so many people I do not know coming to me, claiming to my relatives and friends, and all they're doing is just for the money. So, both ways, there is this unsatisfactoriness. So, the point is this: do we use this concept of sin better here, or this dukkha better? So, it's a choice we should make. The idea is, what helps us to solve a problem better? Okay, what helps us to solve a problem better? Which word causes more problems? Sin or dukkha? Right? Because if we say dukkha, people don't like it. So it is said, in other words, people are not going to get involved with this word, or at least not involved what the word stands for. But if you say sin, the moment someone does something wrong, it's a sin, and this poor guy gets terrified, whatever it is, doesn't know the meaning of it. He gets terrified. So it starts fear. If I say this is suffering, nobody likes it. That only proves a point. It's a very important philosophical difference. Another thing is the idea of sin. If you ask me, I would say this is one idea that has caused a lot of suffering in human history because of the wrong understanding put behind it. I'm not blaming any particular religious teaching. I'm saying it's the way that people and teachers use it, frighten people to keep children in line and frighten congregations, and that comes up. I have people coming here for counseling who tell me they feel guilty, they feel terrified, things like that. So what we want is mental health. Okay? If someone comes to me and say, I'm suffering, and we say, okay, why are you suffering? You can deal with it, we can do counseling. Right? Someone comes and say, I'm suffering, so you question that there are conditions behind it, we deal with that. But if someone says, I have sinned, he's coming for confession actually to get back in control by whoever defines sin. So the person doing the confession will say, okay, I forgive you, and everything is okay. In other words, if you follow the way, you conduct yourself the way I want you to, I forgive you, you're okay. So this is a very it's a social situation.
What I'm looking at is it is more similarity if we define sin and suffering. It's just like, okay, death, decay and death. Because I don't think I'm anywhere close to swimming or even, you know. So perhaps I will have many decay and death. So this is part of the journey to become, to be, I don't know, swimming or even. So decay and death, if I don't equate it to suffering, I equate it's part of the journey to be finally who we supposed to be. Then it may not be that bad, it may not be suffering. It may be.
Yeah, sure. You need wisdom for that.
Yeah.
You need wisdom for that. So, I mean, you can't go out there and tell people, or if you have internet service or you have a television global service, you say, okay, from now on, all those members of this network, you know, death is not a bad thing. You tell them, you know. People say, what do you mean, you know? They say, if I lose a loved one, I feel sad. It's obvious, right? But the wise person would say, well, that's the way the world is. So we need wisdom to be able to have that kind of response, that we know this end, life ends, one dies. But we remember this person happily. We say, oh, you know, yes, this person may have passed away, but he has done great things. But you need wisdom for that. You need loving kindness for that. So that also is a very important part of the teaching, not just seeing death. This teaching is not just telling us that's all there is. This is a way of looking at reality. You cannot close your eyes to this reality. It's there. In fact, the final statement is very clear. You can deny sin, but you cannot deny suffering. If you think about that, I tell you, it's very deep, very profound philosophical truth at least. And in a sense, to be happy, if you are truly happy, you are at peace with yourself, you can deal with all these things. So this is where what I'm saying is, which one is more natural? We're talking about a more natural truth, something that you see in life itself, not something human-made, an idea which is used for control. Sin is an idea used for control, whereas this idea of suffering and nirvana, opposite of suffering, is a teaching of release and freedom. Very important difference. And so we must not like stack negative ideas alone. So you need wisdom, in other words, to see, to accept all these things as they are. Like Sariputta says, you know, I'm not afraid of death. I don't really bother about it. Either I fear it or do I wait for it. I just leave it as it is. Just like a worker waiting for his wages. Let it come, let it be. So the idea is to live now, be happy to yourself, to others. And no need to think about sin, just be happy. I think even those people who talk about sin, they will tell you the greatest thing will be a sinless world, something like that. So in a sense, if you talk about a sinless world and the world without suffering, they are more or less pointing to the same thing, in a sense, It's the theologians and the preachers may not agree. But the mind is free and happy, and that's what I think everybody certainly will enjoy. Any other question? Sometimes we can talk about these different concepts in religion in a similar way. And we only accept that similarity because when you go to details, there are always very important differences. I've talked with God believers and they define sin as falling short of something. Falling short of goodness is just to simplify, okay? So suffering also has the same definition. You fall short of goodness. You can be better. So in that sense, yes, we define both in the same way. We need to go further, okay? And that's correct. You just got to improve yourself, better yourself. So to that extent, the dynamics are even identical, if you like. But we're looking only at part of the picture, very close. After that, when you hate for, of course, it's quite different. But the problem is nobody really knows what is that we're heading for. We all just talk in theoretical terms again. So I suppose it's best not to compare too much the ending of it, but we don't know what it is. Important thing is just go step by step and then see how we go from there. Okay. For 3 more minutes. Anything to ask? Okay, so we end here then. Huh? So, let's see, is this the last lesson of the year? Huh?
Yes.
Is there one more? Last one, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, so next time we meet will be New Year.
Yeah.
Alright, this is our last lesson of the year together. We've spent some 10 years now considering the suttas, studying them, reflecting on them. The whole idea of sitting here, listening, discussing, is to know ourselves better, to understand the world better. And the more questions we ask, especially the right kind of questions, the better answers we get. The questions are not to defend anyone or attack anyone, but they are ways of looking at the truth. The purpose of truth is to clear the way, clear the path for us, so that we can move on safely and surely to our spiritual liberation, to be free and happy. But because of different religions, different approaches, different philosophies, we need sometimes to adjust ourselves because of the lack of understanding in others. There's no compassion. We give some space, allow them that space. At the same time, giving them opportunities to take a step further so that they too are happier and more free from ignorance. And this is what our understanding of the suttas and inner calm will do for us. When there comes a time in our lives, we must always let go of all ideas, good or bad, and just be at peace with ourselves, like watching the breath. As we watch the breath, we're at peace with ourselves. And always remember, this is what studying suttas are about. Ultimately, we should be at peace with ourselves. Reflecting in this way, we create good karma, mental karma for ourselves. And all this wonderful good karma, may in this life itself we attain freedom from suffering, from failure and difficulties. And we will be blessed with good health, wisdom. Most importantly, may in this life itself we attain spiritual liberation in this dream world. At this point, to let us send our loving kindness to all our loved ones, and also to all those who need this loving kindness, wherever they may be. May all beings be well and happy.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.